Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea Tranquility. Welcome to pick 25 of my 31 favorite hard rock and heavy metal albums of the 80s countdown. That's right, there's 31 days here in May of 2023. I am counting down my top 31 albums of the decade, hard rock and heavy metal albums of the decade. A very serious task, but I think I've done it, right? I think so anyway. It's really funny when you do like a task like this and you take a look at all the albums that you would consider. It's vast, right? And you have to somehow, some way, pick out your 31 favorites out of like say 250 or 300 or whatever the number is. I haven't counted them, but yeah. So I think I'm pretty sure that the 31 that I'm talking about this month are my favorites. And as far as like ranking them in the order that I like them, that's difficult too. Yeah, I think I'm pretty close here for the most part. You ask me again in a couple months, it might change again. But for day number 25, I'm taking a look today at the eighth studio album from this British band. It was released July 1982. Produced at Ibiza Sound Studios in Ibiza, Spain, as well as BJ Studios in Orlando, Florida. Produced by Tom Elam for Columbia Records. I am talking for Screaming for Vengeance, Judas Priest, of course. The album in the 80s early 80s that kind of got them back on track in the eyes of a lot of fans, right? Point of Entry was a fairly well received album, but a lot of people thought that was Judas Priest getting a little light, right? After the Great British Deal. Here they have them back, supercharged, more metallic than ever. I would argue to say that Screaming for Vengeance might be at the time, their heaviest album to date. Certainly most metallic, fast and furious, that type of thing, right? Arguably, right? Some people might say Stained Class. Some people might say Hellbent for Leather, or, all depends on how you hear things, right? But to me, I think at the time this was probably their heaviest album, but very 80s sounding. Lots of great songs on here. I listened to this a ton when it first came out. Maybe don't look at it quite the same as I did all those years ago, but I still treasure this album quite a bit. Of course, Rob Halford on vocals, KK Downing, Glenn Tipton on dueling guitars, Ian Hill on bass, and Dave Holland on drums. Good collection of bangers on this album. I mean, there's no denying the more well-known tracks. It starts off with The Hellion and Electric Eye, one of the great album openers of all time. I always kind of think of those two songs as almost like one. The Hellion is like 40 seconds long, and then it leads right into Electric Eye. To me, I always look at that's like one song. Riding on the Wind is just absolutely tremendous. Bloodstone is tremendous for me. Those couple of songs are one of the strongest opening couple of tracks to any album. Just absolutely amazing. Then you have Take These Chains, a little bit more of a melodic track. Pain and Pleasure. For me, Take These Chains, Pain and Pleasure, good songs. Maybe not top shelf Judas Priest, but good songs. And then over on side 2, you got a couple of more bangers, right? You got title track Screaming for Vengeance. Arguably, if not the greatest song on the album, top 3 for me. You Got Another Thing Coming was the big hit for the band. It's a good song. Catchy song. Yeah, it's one of those Priest songs I never really need to hear anymore, but yeah, I can see its appeal. Then you got Fever and Devil's Child, right? Fever, not a huge fan of Fever, but Devil's Child I do like quite a bit. So it's funny, like I said, all these years later, I think there are much stronger Judas Priest albums start to finish than Screaming for Vengeance. But Screaming for Vengeance has, half the album for me is just absolutely killer. You got one or two tracks that, whatever, and then a couple other, decent ones. But the tracks that are so good are so good. I mean, that's the thing. This is a perfect example of one of those albums where my love for it is elevated because of 4 or 5 tracks on the album, because they are so great that even though the rest of the album for me isn't all that fantastic, it's okay. I hold this album in high esteem because of those really, really great tracks, and that's why it has to be on this list. Not only because I still like listening to a bunch of these songs today, but I do try to take into account how much I felt for a album back in the day around the time when it's released. So yeah, so it's my number 25. You know, some people may have this higher. That's why it's not higher, right? But it's got to be on this list. As far as like chart positions for this album, this was a pretty big one for the band, right? So this one made it to number 17 on the U.S. Billboard album charts, number 11 in the UK, 14 in Sweden, 26 in Norway, Japan 72, 23 in Germany, Finland 17, Canada 17, and Australia made it to number 81. And as far as like certifications, this is a 2 times platinum here in the States, 2 million copies sold, and this is also platinum, 100,000 copies sold in Canada. So this was a big deal for the band. This kind of got them back into the public eye in a big way. And there's a reason why so many people think so highly of Scream for Vengeance all these years later. So, you know the drill, everybody. Let us know what you think of Scream for Vengeance if you choose to play along with mine down in the comments below. But we want to hear your pick number 25 for today. Down there, of course. So thanks for watching, everybody. Visit us on the web at www.seaoftranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube all together, all the damn time. Please subscribe if you haven't already. And click on that notification bell so you get alert of all of our content as it posts. And please do hit the like button before you leave. Also, down below in the video description, we have the link to our Ko-Fi page for channel donations. Thank you, everybody who's been donating over the weekend. Appreciate that. As well as our merch page, where you can get all sorts of great Sea Tranquility shirts like this. This is a kick-ass shirt, right? This is the kind of like the space rock prog shirt. Wonderful design here. This is one of my favorites. You can go get that also down via the link below. And like we have t-shirts, hoodies, hats, you know, zip hoodies, pullover hoodies, coffee mugs, stickers, all sorts of fun stuff. So that is also down below, the link to that. And stay tuned in a little while. We've got Ranking the Albums, which of course is each and every Sunday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I will be ranking the catalog of the Derek Trucks Band. Of course, Derek Trucks, the great guitar player, slide guitar player from the Tedeschi Trucks Band, Allman Brothers Band, and the band he was in before all of that was his own band, the Derek Trucks Band, who have 6 really cool albums. To their credit, the band is no more, but they made some really great music while they were around. So tune in just a little bit to Ranking the Albums, and you can see me talk about those albums and rank them. And until next time, until tomorrow morning, I am Pete Pardo. Stay tuned for pick number 24 tomorrow as I count down my favorite 31 hard rock and metal albums of the 80s. Have a good weekend, everybody. See you soon. Bye-bye.